because I'm teaching something else. Everyone's doing something else. See? And then I'm in the little corner, which I thought was nice. Okay. All right, team, ready? Let me go over the answers. So there were 2 groups, and these groups are of even numbers. So I started writing some on the board. I had group 1. I'm just trying to think if I want to write this way or the other way. This way. All right. So group 1. The first example we had was HIV. The second one is rhinovirus. Then group 2, so far that I've given you as hints, was AIDS and cold. And then let's go back to the list so we can get more of them written down, because I don't remember off the top of my head what I had. All right. Next one we had is bubonic plague, which is in group 2. That was the plague that, what was I going to say? That was the plague that caused the Black Death in Europe back in, I don't even remember when now, a long time ago. All right. That is paired with plague bacterius, which is in group 1. And I'm grouping them now because I'm pairing them up because it helps give a hint on the reasons why we have group 1 and group 2. All right, next one, we did AIDS, we did HIV, we did cold. Measles virus is in group 1. Measles on its own, which is down here, is in group 2. All right, next one, norovirus, that's in group 1. And in group 2, paired with norovirus is stomach flu. And that should be everybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Cool. I heard it. 1 is a disease. So group 2 is talking about the disease. Group 1 is not the virus. There are a lot of viruses there. In fact, 4 out of 5 are viruses, but this one is a bacteria. These are pathogens. Okay? So that was the 2 mystery vocab words, pathogen and disease. Now, the reason why I want to highlight this is because looking at I wouldn't even call them your first drafts. I would call them like your baby internals because they were very underdeveloped. Your womb internals, your uterine, your developing internals. They were really not ready, but that's okay. It's taught me that I need to do some teaching and some clarifying, so that's good. All right, it's a learning curve. This is our first time doing this. So, one of the things that I noticed that a lot of people struggled with on their pre-first draft is understanding the difference between pathogen and disease. Some of you guys in your reports wrote about the disease as your focus and not the pathogen itself. So the disease is the illness, it's the symptoms. The pathogen is what causes the disease. So that's why I paired them up. So HIV causes AIDS. Rhinovirus causes the cold. Plague bacterius causes the bubonic plague. Measles virus causes measles. Norovirus causes stomach flu. So some of you guys made the mistake about writing about your disease and not writing about the pathogen. This assessment is about the pathogen. Okay? Some of you guys are fine. Some of you guys do need to work on that. All right? Now, something to keep in mind is that some of them are very obvious on which one's the pathogen and which one's the disease. So like, for example, HIV and AIDS is really obvious that HIV is the virus, and if that virus goes unchecked, it then causes AIDS, which is when you have that suppressed immune system. Some of them are not as obvious because they have the same name. So for example, measles is used interchangeably. So when you're reading about the measles, be mindful. Are you reading about measles as in the disease measles, or are you reading about the virus that causes measles? So just be mindful when you're doing your research and stuff. Same thing with the flu. Influenza comes up quite a bit. But there's influenza, the virus, and there's influenza, the symptoms. And this whole assessment is supposed to be focused on the pathogen that causes it. Does that make sense? Does that help clarify? Okay? So be careful. Some of you guys have gotten some really tricky ones where the name of the disease is the same as the virus or the bacteria. Some of you guys have it a little bit more obvious that they're different. Okay? Cool. We're going to do another vocab detective. I'm sorry. I know you guys don't like it, but it's good for you to learn. Just going to pause this. There we go. Okay. Oh, come on. Let's get out of full screen. Okay. So here's the answer. So the first group is a group of 3, and it is these 3 here. That is your group of 3. Okay? This is your group of 7. With everything else. So zoom out so you can see it all. Those are the 7. That one here too. All right? Eliza got one of the words very quickly, and that was? Not life cycle, the other one, data. So these are all examples of data. For this internal, you need to provide me an example of data. All right? These are all examples of diagrams. You can use both of them, but for the assessment, when you're talking about the data and unpacking it, you should have something like this. Now Thursday's lesson, I will pick some of these images out and I'll do some further teaching because I noticed you guys need some clarifications on some of the assessment guidelines. So do not lose these pieces of paper because I will be using them on Thursday. Okay? If you're worried you're going to lose them, you can grab some paper and make yourself like a little envelope to not lose them, okay? I've also put these as images onto Google Classroom, so if you want, you can just copy and paste them on Google Classroom and type it up in a document. But I will be giving notes based on these images that I've selected, okay? There was a reason why I selected those images in particular, okay? Are we good? So, this here are diagrams. These are my data. All right, that's us for today.